Prince Harry banned from the royal wedding of the year. With the inside story, the legendary royal biographer Angela Levin. Good morning, Angela.
Good morning. Nice to see you.
It's brilliant to see you, and a warm welcome back to Talk Breakfast after one or two health challenges. And may I say, you look fantastic.
Thank you.
Someone that's not looking fantastic, rather gaunt at the moment, is Prince Harry, because he's suffered an almighty royal snub. He hasn't been invited, according to press reports, to Peter Phillips's wedding. Well, Peter Phillips is his cousin, and they were very close whilst Harry was growing up.
Yes, but they hadn't seen each other for a very long time. And I think that my view is that that the lady who's getting married, Harriet Spurling, wouldn't want Meghan there at the wedding. Because if you remember, Eugenie had a wedding very soon after Harry and Meghan had a wedding. And Meghan ruined it by telling everyone that she was pregnant. And everybody was absolutely, thank you, how wonderful, how lovely. And Eugenie was very, very upset about it. Now, if this gal, Harriet's got any sense, she wouldn't have had her. Also, I don't think that neither of them, her nor Philip, would want them in the building. It's not a friendship anymore because they haven't been talking to each other for a long time. But they don't want something going wrong. Well, what is Harry going to do? You can't take any surety that he's actually going to come have a nice time.
He can't be trusted. He's an emotional wrecking ball, and he will always make any event about himself.
Yes, he can only see it, what's happened to him. The fact that he wrote a book which was it was so revolting, so horrible, and not even true. And then if someone says you can't come to the wedding, then he gets like a child. I think this is Meghan building it up. I'm sorry to just keep saying that, but I think it is. But the other person is Mike Tyndall, who actually has been very, very friendly with Harry. But he said at this book fair that Harry is no fun anymore. Now, Harry will be very upset because they were very good friends. Mike Tyndall is married to Zara Phillips, who's the daughter of Princess Anne. And they don't want them around. They absolutely don't. So if you behave like that, you have to have the answer to it.
Well, that's right. Mike Tyndall, as you've mentioned, rugby hero, and now the husband, very happily married to Zara Phillips, who is the daughter of Princess Anne, as you've said. And Mike Tyndall and Harry were best mates, but Tyndall seems to have fallen out with Harry in a big way. And this seems to go back, Angela, to 2022 and the last time that Harry and Meghan were in the UK. And Tyndall very publicly snubbed the couple then. Mike Tyndall is done with Harry.
Yes. Well, quite right. He's a tough guy, Mike.
Yeah.
He's loving and he's very caring. He fits in with the royal family extremely well. But he's not going to take anything nasty said to him or anybody of his family. He's just not going to do it. He likes bantering, and he actually said that people shouldn't have said anything. James Haskell, his friend, because of this new book they're selling, which is The Good, the Bad and Rugby.
Yeah.
Give that a push for him. But they were sort of fine and good friends. But when somebody mentioned Harry, boom, he's out. And that's what's happening. The royal family does not want Harry and especially Meghan around, and they're not letting them go. They're pushing back and pushing back. But
Prince Harry has been shut out of the royal wedding of the year, not by the King, not by William, but by his own cousin, a man he grew up with, laughed with, trusted. And the official explanation is that it's about keeping the peace, keeping the focus on the bride and groom. But here's the question nobody is asking loudly enough. Is the crown protecting a wedding, or is it protecting itself from the one man who's seen everything from the inside? Stay with me, because this story is bigger than a guest list. So first, what's actually happening? Peter Phillips, the King's nephew, Princess Anne's son, and one of Harry's closest childhood cousins, is getting married on June 6th. His bride is Harriet Spurling, And by all accounts, this is meant to be a quiet, private affair. It's a second wedding for both of them, and they want it low-key. Harry has reportedly not been invited. Now, on the surface, some people are saying, OK, fine, it's their wedding. They can invite who they want. But let's remember who Peter Phillips is in Harry's life. This wasn't a distant relative. These two were close growing up. They were in the same social circle. They were, for a long time, genuine family. And now, nothing. Royal biographer Angela Levin, who spent 15 months with Harry when writing his biography, put it plainly, the bride reportedly doesn't want Meghan there. And if Meghan isn't welcome, Harry doesn't come. The reason cited? History. Specifically a pattern, where Harry and Meghan have a habit of making other people's moments about themselves. The example given? Princess Eugenie's wedding. Shortly after Harry and Meghan's own wedding, Eugenie hosted her own celebration, and Meghan reportedly announced her pregnancy at the reception. Eugenie, by multiple accounts, was devastated. So is this just the royal family drawing a line after one too many incidents? Maybe, or maybe it's something else entirely. Here's what makes this wedding snub more significant than just one cousin's decision. Mike Tindall, rugby legend, husband of Zara Phillips, Princess Anne's daughter, was once one of Harry's closest friends in the entire royal circle. These weren't just relatives who smiled at Christmas, they were genuine mates. And recently, at a book event promoting his memoir, The Good, the Bad and Rugby, Tindall said something that should have made headlines everywhere. He said, Harry is no fun anymore. 3 words. Devastating. Because coming from Mike Tindall, a man known for being warm, loyal and straight-talking, that's not a throwaway comment. That's a verdict. We know the friendship cracked publicly in 2022, the last time Harry and Meghan visited the UK. Tindall was seen visibly distancing himself. And since then, by all accounts, silence. Angela Levin described Tindall as someone who doesn't take anything nasty said about him or his family. He's not a man who ghosts people lightly. So when Mike Tindall, fun-loving, big-hearted Mike, says, Harry's no fun anymore, that lands. Now, I want to pause here for a moment, because Angela Levin's account of Harry is genuinely fascinating, and it gets lost in the noise. She spent 15 months in his company. She wasn't a tabloid photographer, she was his biographer. She watched him interact with children from difficult families. She saw him with veterans. She had real conversations with him. And she says, he was lovely, funny, kind, a little irritable when he was busy, like anyone would be, but genuinely warm, generous, present. And then, she says, Meghan came into the picture. And something shifted. She describes him becoming nervous. One of his aides apparently told her he was desperate for Meghan to want to marry him. Fast forward to 2026, and Levin's description of Harry is almost unrecognisable compared to the man she knew. She calls him, and I'm quoting her words, a nasty, spiteful liar who thinks only of himself and is, in her view, terrified of Meghan. Now, is she right? Is she too harsh? That's genuinely debatable. But here's what's not debatable. Multiple people from Harry's inner circle, people who liked him and were close to him, are now describing a man who has fundamentally changed. And the question is, what changed him? Or who? Okay, here's where I want to challenge the mainstream narrative. The story we're being sold is Harry behaves badly, Harry gets excluded, Harry suffers the consequences, simple cause and effect. But what if it's more complicated than that? Because here's what Harry represents whether the palace wants to admit it or not. Harry is a man who sat inside one of the most powerful, most secretive, most image-conscious institutions in the world. And then he left, and he talked. He talked about mental health struggles that the institution refused to acknowledge. He talked about racism, alleged comments about his children's skin colour. He talked about a media apparatus that the palace was reportedly cooperating with behind closed doors. Now you may believe everything he said. You may believe none of it. But the point is, he said it, and the Crown has never, not once, been able to fully discredit him. Because you can't disprove someone's lived experience, you can only isolate them. So ask yourself this. Is the guest list at Peter Philip's wedding really about Meghan announcing a pregnancy at Eugenie's reception? Or is it about making sure that when the cameras show up, Harry is never in the building, never visible, never normalised, never given a moment that could be interpreted as reconciliation? Because every time Harry appears at a royal event and looks fine, looks healthy, looks welcomed, it complicates the narrative that he's the problem. And every time he's excluded, the message is reinforced. He chose this. He's on the outside. This is the consequence of his choices. The Crown is an institution that has survived for centuries precisely because it controls perception. It doesn't win arguments, it outlasts them. Excluding Harry from events isn't petty drama. It's a strategy. Now, in fairness, I have to steelman the other side, because there's a version of this story where the royal family are doing something completely reasonable. Harry has written a memoir that, by almost universal account, including from people who like him, contained claims that were painful, some that were disputed, and some that were frankly damaging to real people who couldn't publicly respond. He and Meghan have made their private lives into a public brand, and then complained when the public scrutinises them. And yes, Angela Levin's point about making other people's moments about themselves, that pattern is real. The Eugenie pregnancy announcement, if true, was genuinely unkind. So maybe Peter Phillips and Harriet Spurling just want their wedding day to be about them. Maybe Mike Tyndall just got tired of being a friend who gives more than he gets. Maybe the royal family has simply decided that trust, once broken, doesn't automatically repair itself. And that's not fear. That's just consequence. There's an argument that we've been so busy asking what the Crown is hiding. We've stopped asking what Harry is hiding too. So where does that leave us? I think the honest answer is, it's both. Yes, Harry has burned bridges. Yes, his behaviour has changed. Yes, there are real, legitimate reasons why people who loved him now keep their distance. And also, yes, the Crown is an institution that protects itself, that isolates threats, that controls narratives. And a Harry who is welcome back is a Harry whose story becomes complicated again. The wedding snub isn't just about one guest list. It's the latest chapter in a calculated generational campaign to define who Harry is in the public mind, before he gets the chance to define it himself. Whether you think Harry deserves it or not, that's worth paying attention to. Because what happens to Harry next, whether he fades into irrelevance or forces his way back into the conversation, will tell us a great deal about the Crown's real power in the modern world. Leave your thoughts below. Is this a reasonable family boundary? Or is the palace afraid of what Harry knows? If you found this interesting, subscribe. I cover the royal family and global power dynamics every week. And if you want to go deeper on Harry and Meghan's fallout with the royals, Check out link to previous video. It covers everything from the Oprah interview to the Netflix documentary and what the palace knew. See you in the next one.